This is part 2 of Roman's improv poetry at Vidcon. If you're curious to see what all of this is, please go to part 1 of this video series. If you just want to jump in, then please enjoy.
Hey Ava.
Hello!
What does poetry mean to you?
Poetry. What does poetry mean to me? Poetry to me means memorizing Australian poems for a year 9 English oral presentation. There are many different kinds of poetry. I think one that I've been really enjoying recently is slam poetry. They come up as like viral videos on my Facebook, and when they do, they're usually about really, important topics to our society today, and they make you stop and think, and I really like that about poetry, that people can talk about societal issues through that kind of format, and I love it. It's awesome.
Do you have a favorite poem?
Do I have a favorite poem? Do Shakespearean
sonnets count?
count?
They're poems.
Yeah, okay, I can't remember the name of it though, but it's the one...
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
No, it's My Mistress.
Ah, yep.
I'll remember it eventually.
No, it's fine, they're all numbered.
Do you know the one?
I know the one you're talking about, yeah.
That's probably my favourite one. I feel so on the spot.
That's
I'll
all right.
remember it and come back to you
It's
later.
intentionally. Edward.
How you go, man?
What does poetry mean to you?
Oh god. I like the way that poetry, just with a couple words, invokes some form of emotion or feeling in people that they might not get normal, I guess. Yeah, let's go with that.
Do you have a favorite poem?
Yes, actually. It's a poem, I don't know, it's more of a slam poetry by a guy named, I think his name's Gonte, and it's called Man Up.
Oh, yeah, no, I know that one.
Yeah,
right.
I really enjoy it.
So we're going to do some improv slam poetry now.
Oh,
I am, you're not. Can you give me a word?
Camera.
Camera. All right. Heather, give me a topic.
A topic.
Loss?
Loss.
All right.
Alright, so I have to do an improv poem on loss, including the word camera. So I'm going to take these off. Alright. Let's see what we can get here. I remember when I was little, when I would have so many different soft toys all around me. My mum would give them different voices and inhabit their bodies with a soul, and it made me believe that I had all these different friends who had all these different opinions. And I was such a shy child. My mum would use these soft toys, their characters, their personalities, their personas, to get me to talk about things I didn't want to talk about. When I was bullied at school, when I didn't want to say how lonely I was, I would talk to my Mickey Mouse. But then, as I got older, and as I probably got more jaded, I stopped talking to Mickey as much. I had this kind of sense of loss, that I had lost something from my childhood. I no longer spoke to my soft toys. They still remained on my bed. But my mum, well, you don't talk to your teenagers that way anymore. You look at them differently. The relationship changes. And now, when I want to talk, when I want to get the ideas out of my head that I usually can't explain, I talk to a camera instead. The words, they pull out like they're doing now. They create a sense of community for me. Even if nobody really watches it, even if nobody really listens, even if I'm just the only one talking to this camera, there's still a sense of connection there. And I no longer feel lost.
Hey Indy, what does poetry mean to you?
No, I don't know a lot about poetry per se, so...
Do you know the rhyme?
I don't know.
Right.
This is such a bad question for me.
That's right. Do you have a favorite poem?
I don't know.
Or even a favorite
It's just
quote?
pretty much like, why is there nothing on your
No,
resume?
because I don't know
I took all your
anything.
candy.
I mean, the only thing I can tell you about poetry recently is that
like
I do pole fitness,
Yeah.
okay? This is very off-brand here, but I'm doing a Halloween competition and I'm doing it to a creepy poem by Gothi? I don't know the name. G-O-T.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really cool and spooky and scary,
Ooh,
so
okay.
that's...
Gothic horror.
Gothic horror, so it's all about like a graveyard and stuff. So that's kind of the only thing at the moment that is poetry related to me.
Nice. What does poetry mean to you?
Well, I love that poetry is open to interpretation. So heaps of people can read it and it'll be a different meaning for all of us.
As soon as the guys at work when I started.
Yeah, I don't read much poetry, but I love how it can be so simple and mean so much.
Do you have a favourite poem?
I've only really read Rupi Kaur's. I don't know how to pronounce it.
That's right.
Yeah, and I like a lot of her poems because, especially the ones that are short but hold a lot of meaning behind them.
Can you give me a word? It can be any word. Just give me a word.
Bingo.
Bingo. All right. Can you give me a topic or a theme? Any topic or theme?
Theme parks.
Theme parks? All right. That's an interesting one.
I have to do an improv poem about theme parks that includes the word bingo. This one's difficult. All right, let's see what I can do here. I always loved theme parks as a kid. The magic of them. You could walk into them and be taken into a whole new world. There were cartoon characters. Yes, they were people dressed up as them, pretending to be something else, but in the eyes of a 5-year-old, you were actually meeting Mickey Mouse. I remember a book that I got signed by Mickey, and yes, I was 12 years old, and on some level I knew that he wasn't really real. But on another one, it meant so much because that's what I grew up with. That's what I loved about theme parks. Now, what I hated about theme parks was the rides. I'm not a person who's big into rides. I don't really like horror. I don't really like roller coasters, riding up and down. It set my heart racing. And I remember Mum, well, she wanted to go on one, and we didn't realize it was a roller coaster. It was one of the scariest experiences of my life, and that took away the magic a little bit for me. Racing around on a roller coaster in the dark, I just remember screaming any words that came to mind, just wanting to get out of there. It took away a bit of the magic of theme parks. And it's interesting because they have both good and bad, like other things in life. They're not for everybody. They're not for, well, everybody. There are different types of people. Just like there are different types of dogs, I suppose. I mean, you have your Rottweilers, you have your German Shepherds, you have your Greyhounds, and they're not for everybody. Different people like different dogs. And yes, this is a convoluted way of working in the word bingo, because that is very hard for theme parks. But my main point is that something that can be good on one level can also be bad on another. Something that can bring joy to people can also bring heartache to others. And we need to understand that, no matter whether we're talking about theme parks or dogs named Bingo.
Hi, Kat.
Hi.
What does poetry mean to you?
Some words in a form, and sometimes they mean things, and my favourite poet is Dr. Seuss, so I don't know too much about poetry.
Okay. So your favourite poem would be a Dr. Seuss poem?
Yeah, maybe like Green Eggs and Ham.
Okay, nice. Grace, what does poetry mean to you?
Poetry can be anything. When I stare at a tree, I see poetry. When I look at a person, I see poetry. Poetry can come out of anything. I see poetry being something coming out of nothing. Ex nihilo. Yeah, that's.
Nice.
I think that's what poetry is.
What's your favourite poem?
Because poetry is often associated with rhyming, but poetry is so much more than that. Poetry moves. And one that really does move me was written by Rupi Kaur in her collection Milk and Honey. I still live by it to this day, and it is literally, to be soft is to be powerful.
Nice.
Those are the words I live by, because those are the words that remind me the power of my vulnerability.
Indeed. Could you give me a word? Any word.
Pink.
Pink. Kat,
Yes.
can you give me a topic?
Topic. Booktube.
Booktube.
So I'm going to have to do a poem, improv poem, about booktube that includes the word pink. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes that's all that we have time to judge a book by. If pink's not your favorite color, will you ever pick up a pink book? If you don't like blue, well, a cover that has blue fairies on it, well, you're never going to be interested in it. So where do you go? What do you do when you want to know what to read next, but your TBR is just so darn big that you can't make a decision? Well, you jump onto BookTube. There are hundreds, possibly thousands of different men, women, people everywhere talking about the books they love. And a quick review could help you find a book that you've been looking for ages that you didn't even know that you wanted to read. Yes, we all have friends who will suggest us books as we ask them a question about what should we read next, but you don't always have your best friend beside you to tell you what you should read. And what happens if you're both reading the same thing at the exact same time? Again, jump onto BookTube. You'll find new friends, you'll find new people, and you may find that that book with the pink cover is actually what you want to read next.